Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Angel from Simply Angel Tia. For this video I am going to be showing you guys how to do a very simple project. This is just a simple beanie or hat that will take you very short time to create, and now of course you can make it as many as you want for your friends and family. As you can see, I have 3 here. I will be showing you guys how to do one in this color here, and for these 2 colors, just something that I did offline, but nothing changes, the exact same thing, just different colors. So hopefully you guys can stay on the video, and please go ahead and get your stuff, and I'm gonna show you what I used, and we'll go ahead and get started together. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so before we get this project started, I'm going to show you all the materials that I'm using for it. So as you can see here, I have my yarn. This is called Impeccable Glitter by Loops and Threads, and all your measurements are right here. So if you just bring it closer, this is the measurements. It's a medium weight number 4. Recommended hook size is 5mm crochet hook or H8 US, and this color is called Teal. Okay, so that is the yarn I'm using for this beanie. For my crochet hook, I'm using a 5.5mm crochet hook or I9, and that's just a preference because I want to make it nice and loose. I go a little bit higher in the size of the crochet. I also have my darning needle here. I have a stitch marker because we need one, scissors, as well as a tape measure to be able to determine the size of your beanie. Okay, all right, so let's put all of these away and get started. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with the project. And so as you can see here, I'm leaving a little bit of a long tail, and we're going to be using these to sew our beanie together. So we're gonna fold it in, and then we're gonna be able to sew it in, and as well to shut the top. Okay, so oh, by the way, for those of you who want to know what this yarn is, it's made of 97% acrylic, or it is 97% acrylic and 3% other fiber, and I'm assuming other fiber is this glittery thread that they weave in through the yarn. So for those of you who want to know, that is what it's made of. Okay, all right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with a slip knot so we can do a foundation chain. Okay, so I'm going to do my slip knot just like this. Okay, so for those of you who are crocheters, you will do your slip knot however you usually do it, and if you're a new beginner and you're learning, you can try to do it this way or find other easy ways for you to do a slip knot. Okay, so we're going to start with a foundation chain of 47. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, so that is my foundation chain of 47 here, and this is going to be the length of your beanie. So this will be pretty much how long it goes up from your forehead to the crown of your head, and however you're gonna wear it. Okay, and this is also big enough that when we're done with the beanie, if you want to fold your beanie, that is also doable. If you want to leave it open just in case you have your hair tucked in, or you have long hair that you want to kind of put underneath your beanie, then that will allow it as well. So we're making it flexible enough that you can do that. If you're making the beanie for a kid, then your foundation chain will be shorter than this because it will be smaller for a child, but I'm making this one for an adult. Okay, all right, now we're gonna go ahead and get started with our first row of this, and then we'll do the second row together, which is going to be our repeat row. And then it's very simple, so you're just gonna pretty much repeat the same pattern all the way until you're done, and then we'll be able to join the 2 pieces together. Not the 2 pieces, but we'll be able to join both sides so that we can make the beanie out of it and shut the top. Okay, all right, so for row 1, we're going to skip this first chain right here. In the second one, we're going to go in the back of the chain, and we're going to do a half double crochet like that, and then we're going to scoop it again, go in the next chain, and do a half double crochet, and we're going to pretty much repeat this all the way until we have 6 stitches to go. And in those final 6 stitches, we're going to do a single crochet for the last few. Okay, so go all the way until you have 6 stitches to go. For those of you who would prefer, you can take your stitch marker, count 6 stitches, put your stitch marker there, and then when you get to the stitch marker, come back and I will show you how to do the different stitch, and then I will show you how to finish that row and come back and do the second row. Okay, so I will see you guys when you have 6 stitches left at the end to go. Okay guys, so I have my 6 stitches left here, and as you can see, I have completed 40 stitches of the half double crochet in the back of the foundation chain, and this is pretty much how it looks like. Okay, and so for the remaining 6 here, I'm going to do single crochets in the back loop. So this is my 6th one here. I am going to go ahead and do a single crochet stitch like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna take my stitch marker and I'm gonna place it right there. And you're gonna need this stitch marker every time you work either way, because you don't want to forget where you have it, because then you will be counting your stitches all the time and you don't want to waste time doing that. So I place it there so that I can remember where I need to switch my stitches. And then again, you just do these 6 rows, you do these 6 stitches in the single crochet stitch just like that. And then the remaining 40 you do in the half double crochet. And then at the end, to start our row 2, I'm going to chain 1 and turn. Okay, and again, we're going to continue to do the single crochet in these first 6 stitches. So we're going to be working in the back of these stitches. So I'm just gonna go right after my chain 1. I'm gonna go right into the back of the very first stitch right here, and I'm gonna do my single crochet, and then I'm gonna pick the next stitch, and I'm gonna go into the back like that and do my my single crochet. And this is pretty much what you do for these 6 stitches. And then we're gonna switch and do our half double crochets in the remaining 40, and altogether you should have 46, because we skipped the first one after doing 47 chains. Okay, so I'm going to remove where my stitch marker is where my last single crochet goes. Okay, so I'm gonna take that off, do my last single crochet in that stitch, replace the stitch marker back there, and then for the next 40 I'm going to do half double crochets in the back of the stitch. So this is called back loop half double crochet, and this 6 is called pretty much back loop single crochet. Okay, so these are the 2 stitches that we're using throughout this beanie, and you're going to do that when you get to this end here. What I do is, in this final stitch, instead of going in the back loop, I'm going to go through both loops. I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, do then the first 40 in the back loop as the half double crochet, and then when I get to the stitch marker, I'm going to switch my stitches to the single crochet, still working in the back loop, and then just continue to do this until you have the circumference of your beanie. Okay, and what I mean by that is, you take your tape measure, okay, and you pretty much, let's say I'm gonna use my vitamin C bottle here as for demonstration. So let's say this is my head. I would just measure the circumference of my head like this. That's what I mean by the circumference of your head. You're just gonna measure the circumference of your head like this, and this length here is going to be what you need to crochet. So the width of this work is going to be the circumference of my head. so that when I have my beanie on, it's gonna go like this. So, but what I do in my case is the circumference of my head is 21 inches, about 21 inches. So this is the circumference of my head. So I don't create the rows that go up to 21 inches like this. I usually do between 16 and 18 because this pattern will stretch. It's very stretchy, so you don't want to do the full circumference of your head because then it's going to end up being a little bit loose. Unless that's how you like it, then you can do it like that. But what I do usually is I do about, let's say, 17 inches worth of rows like this. And then this is going to be how big it looks, how wide it looks, I should say. And then with the stretchiness of it, it will stretch to my 21 inches. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So I will show you when this is done so you understand what I'm talking about. So, but for now, I'm going to do 40 rows of just what we did here. So just repeat row 2 until you get to the number of rows you need. I'm gonna need 40 rows to fit my size. And when I get there, I'm gonna come back to the video to show you guys how to join the beanie together. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed my 40 rows for my beanie here. So as you can see, this is pretty much it. Okay, so that's the one piece that we have. So this is all 40 rows here. So we will be folding it in like this so we can join it. So this is pretty much where we're gonna join it here, and then we're gonna snatch this section in so that we have our beanie. So just quickly for measurements here, so I said 40 rows for me because that is the circumference of my head, which is usually about 22 21 inches. So, and I did say that I usually do between 16 and 18 depending on how stretchy the pattern is. So in this case here, if I measure the top of my work, which is where this is pretty much where it's gonna go around my head and in my forehead when I wear it. So that is the portion that you measure, not on this side, because as you can see, this side gets smaller because we did use a smaller stitch or like a tighter stitch on here. So when you measure your beanie, you usually measure on the top here. And as you can see, I have about 17 inches for the top here, but this stretches quite a lot. So I will get my 21 inches when this stretches, okay? So that's it here. For those of you who are interested in the length of it like this, just in case you want to know what that size is, this is about 12 inches, okay? So 12 inches this way and then 17 inches the other way. All right, so I'm going to put my tape measure away. So this is pretty much, like I said again, this is where we're going to be joining it here. And then we're going to bring this guy in to close it here. And that's pretty much going to be the end of our project. I can take these out now. So this is where I was kind of sectioning out my 6 stitches here for the single crochet stitch. I can take that out now. And yeah, that's it. So I'm going to go ahead then and just finish cutting these off here. And then we will do the joining. All right, I'm just gonna cut that there. And also this was a full bundle here, and this is how much I have left out of the whole thing. So just in case you want to know how much yarn you used, so use about 3/4 of the size that I had. Okay, so I'm gonna close these off here. And by the way too, I get a lot of questions asking what size of hook I used and what size of yarn, what type of yarn, blah blah blah. I usually have in the description box below, I have a section where I tell you what type of yarn I used and what size of hook I used. So please, before asking any questions, just check in the description box, and if the information is not there, then you can always just message me and ask. But usually I try to provide that information there for you to be able to get your yarn and materials ready to start the video without having to wait for my answer. Because sometimes if you ask me a question and I'm a little bit busy and I don't have a chance to get to everyone, you may be waiting a couple of days, a couple of weeks to get a reply back from me, and you don't want to be waiting the whole time to start your project. So it's just usually easy to get the information in the description box, unless it's something that I haven't put there. All right, so that's it here. And in terms of joining, if you want to determine what side to join, it doesn't usually matter. You can fold it this way, you can fold it the other way. Either way, just there's not a big difference there. Okay, so that is your preference, but I'll be joining mine this way just because I'm also right-handed, so I'm going to be going from this corner to this corner instead of the other way around, or instead of the other way up this way. Okay, I may want to just kind of focus in a little bit here too so that you guys can see it a little bit close up. Okay, so I have my darning needle, I have my yarn into the darning needle, I have where I ended my work, and then I'm going to pretty much start joining my work here. So this is the very first stitch here, and where I have this hook here, or the string here, is my final stitch on the other side as well. So I'm just going to pick up this here and then kind of pick it up on the other side, and I'm gonna pull. And also, for those of you who ask me how I join things, I use the same technique to join things, or maybe one or two techniques. So usually if I show it in one project, I don't show it in everything. And I know some of you are not pretty happy with me not showing how I join things, especially if I do a sweater and I don't actually walk you through exactly how to join it. It's just because the technique is the same that I use for everything, so that I don't sit here, especially if I know it's gonna be a long video. I don't sit here and explain how to join, because I just assume you guys have seen other videos that you will be able to just kind of pick up the technique and know how to join your work. So this one technique that I'm using here is I'm going through both loops of each stitch to join it. The other technique that I have is I pick up one loop on this side and another different loop on the other side. Usually if I pick up the outside, as you can see here, these are the V stitches. If I pick up these the loop closest to me, I will usually end up then doing the loop away from me to join. Or if for some reason I start by going into the loop that is furthest from me on this side, then on the other side I will go and do the so I'll go and pick up the outside if I do this, and if I pick up the outside, then I'll be picking up the inside. So I hope that makes sense. But in this one here, I am going through both loops. There's no big of a difference. It's just sometimes I just prefer to change it up a little bit, but I just pretty much go from one loop to the other, pull it. Don't pull it too much because you don't want your work to come off wrinkly. You just want to do it and just have a little bit of intensity in it, and pull it a little bit but not too much. And then you pretty much just continue to do this from one stitch to the other, all the way until you get to this end here. So your stitches should match up exactly. If you have a stitch off, one or two off, it's okay. You can just repeat one, go through one more than once if you want to kind of line up. But this, if you count your work properly, you should have the exact same stitches from one side to the other, which would allow you to have the same amount of stitches at the end to line up with each other. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna continue to do this until I get to that end, this end here. And of course, when I have finished that, I will come back to the video to shut the top here. So please go ahead and do the same. Take your time, go slow. Especially if you're a beginner, just do this as slow as you possibly can. If it's not good, undo it, start over, and then yeah, so go ahead and I will see you guys when you get to the end on top here. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay guys, so as you can see, I'm just right about to finish here. Just to show you guys, I'm coming before I actually go to the end, because I want to show you guys how when you line everything up, it's just going to end up being exactly even from one side to the other. So as you can see here, I have my work pretty well even. But like I said, if you do end up maybe one less stitch to match up, or two, just double up in some of them. But you shouldn't have any problem if you did your work, if you counted your stitches when you're working throughout the whole project. But this is pretty much it here. So I'm just doing my final stitch here, and usually for this final one I go through it twice just to kind of reinforce that end there. Okay, so that's it. So this is where we joined it right here. So just I will show you guys how it looks. So if you actually just straighten it like that, you can barely tell that there's a joining there. Okay, so that is pretty much how it looks like. This is where we went right here. Okay, so that is kind of what you want to go for, is that it doesn't look like that's where you joined your work. And then that's how our beanie looks so far. Okay, like so. And I have it focused in, so it looks pretty big, but it's not that big, obviously. But yeah, so I have it at the end here. So we're gonna end up needing to join this top here, just to snatch it in a little bit, so that, you know, obviously then it's gonna look like a beanie when we have it joined up here. And also too, by the way, the length here, I do it usually a little bit longer because I tend to have my hair in braids sometimes, and if I want to wear my beanie while I have my braids on, it's gonna fit. So it's all up to you. If when you're starting your work at the beginning, you just want your beanie to be like a short one, then you would have started with less what do you call it, chains at the beginning. Okay, so this is this length because I prefer it like this. And if I don't have my hair in braids or, you know, extensions, then I can always just fold it like this, and this also gives you a little bit more warmth around your ears, and that is also why I prefer to do it this big. I live in a cold area. Just 3 days ago, I think we were at minus 37 degrees Celsius, and minus 37 is not the weather to mess with, so you want to really bundle up when you go out. Anyways, so I'm gonna now end up joining this here, but before we actually bring it in, I'm just gonna bring this string around so that it's easy to pull it shut, and then we can use a little bit that is left to complete the top. I think I wasted this string that I had left from previously. I should have just let it have it short, but it's okay. And I'm just gonna go in like this. So there's no actual like math or, you know, like physics to this. You just kind of go and pick up a little bit of a stitch here and there, and you just kind of loop it around. Okay, and you're just gonna keep going like this. What I'm doing here is I'm just going in the valley, in the peak, in the valley, in the peak, and that helps me kind of balance it out. But if you are to have something that doesn't necessarily have the peaks and valleys here, then you would just kind of make sure you're picking up and going in like this. So it's almost like those of you who sew with their like the hand sewing. This is kind of like the technique that you would use if you're trying to close a gap. Okay, so there, and we're gonna pick up again on the other side, and you're just gonna do these all the way to where the string is, because we know that's where our end is. And then when we get there, we will pull it so that we can, yeah, there you go, and that's it. Okay, so, and then if you just pull the string that you just kind of brought around, if you pull it, it should be able to help you bring the gap tighter. And that's kind of what you want, is to make this gap tight. Just like that. Okay, now this gap is a lot tighter and not as wide as it was. What I do is I just kind of hold these like this. I prop up the corners to make sure none of it is kind of like sunk in. That's gonna end up making it protrude later. And now that I have it like that, I just take my yarn and my darning needle, and I just pick up some of these on the other side, some of the bundles on the other side, and I go and I take it all the way to the other side, and I pull, and I will take on the other side, the opposite side, and I'll go through like this and go to all the way to the opposite side of that, and I'll pull it and again pull, and then I'll just kind of continue to do this until I have this section here tight and kind of more bunched in than it was earlier. If you see any stitches that are, or sections that are kind of like standing off, those could be gaps, spaces that will create a gap, and you don't want that. That would create a hole on top of your beanie. You don't want that. So you're just gonna do this. Let's just keep this guy separate because he's the guy that we're not using at all. And then you're just gonna go again. And this is pretty much what you do until you're satisfied that you have shut the hole up here completely. I don't know how much you're gonna need to do or how many times you have to go over and over and over, but as many times as you're comfortable to completely close this guy up here. And because I have this string on the other side here, I'm gonna make sure I end my needle on the same side as it, like this, let's say. Okay, and then I'm just gonna take this, I'm gonna cut both of them off like that. Okay, and then I'm just gonna take these two sides and I'm gonna tie my top here completely closed, and I'm gonna do a few loops of the knots here just to make sure it's fully shut. And then I take my scissors and I cut each of these sides off like that. Okay, so this is how your top of the beanie should look like. Okay, and this is how your beanie should look like. So it's completely closed up here. What I do most of the time is I actually just kind of flip it so that the side that I was working on becomes the inside of my beanie, and the side that I am that was the inside when I was working on it is on the outside. I just feel like it's usually the neater side, but that's just my preference. So this is pretty much it here. So let me just kind of take this back out like this again so you can see properly. So this is the end of the project, you guys. This is the beanie. As I said, if you have like you could actually just wear this and have this kind of fall on the back of your head like this. I see a lot of guys wear it like that. So if you're a guy and you would like to wear it just as kind of like fashiony as you want, but I will probably wear it more like this, where I fold it like this, and it will give me more coverage around my ears when I do this, especially on the very cold days. So I'll probably do more like this, or I can leave it open like this. Okay, so this is pretty much it, you guys. This is such an easy project to do if you're a beginner and you just want to kind of do some easy things, very fast to do. You can get these kind of, you know, a few of them done for your friends and family, especially if you live in a cold climate. Okay, so I'll show you guys quickly the ones that I have done as well. So I have this one in this nice purple color. This is the same yarn, just different colors. As you can see, there's the sparkles in all of them. And then this one here is in the red. Okay, I wanted to do this and make this beanie for around Christmas time, but then I didn't have too much time. But yeah, this is pretty much it here. So these are my 3 beautiful beanies that I have that I will either kind of wear myself or gift them to friends and family. But that's it. Whoever is looking to have a beanie will probably get one of this. But that's pretty much it here, you guys. I hope this project was as fun for you as it was for me. Thank you so much again for watching and staying with me to the end of the video. And of course, at this moment, I would like to remind you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so. Make sure you comment if you have any questions that are not already provided through the video or in the description box. Just go ahead and shoot me a message, and also give a thumbs up to the video. All of this will help support me. I don't get paid for any of these. I don't get I don't sell my work, which I probably should, but I have a full-time job. I just really love to crochet so much that I like to show you guys how to do these simple projects, these DIY projects that you can do so that you guys can you know, create some things for your friends and family, and it's fun and it's handmade and it's awesome. Okay, so thank you so much again, and I will say bye in Swahili, which is kwaheri.